welcome back to Blue Flag Bandits, the series that drives F1's worst cars since 2010, so you don't have to, using the Codemasters series of games, and you find us at round 9 of 2015, driving the McLaren Honda MP430, as we head to our, and the team's, home Grand Prix at Silverstone. And you join us off the back of an Austrian Grand Prix that could have ended better, if it wasn't for me forgetting just how ruthless the AI are in F1 2015. Cruising to points, trying to hold off Daniel Ricciardo. May have given him a little bit of a squeeze, but he moved into a gap that was never there and pushed us into the wall, and we ended up coming home way down the order. Meaning for the first time this season, we didn't score points at a circuit where we'd not scored points before, if you know what I mean. But as you can see, we're P8 in the standings at the moment. We have scored a little collection of points driving this pretty slow McLaren, but it's Nico Rosberg that leads the way up at the top of the standings, 17 clear of Vettel and 21 clear of Hamilton. It looks like a three-way scrap for the title. The two Williams boys there in 4th and 5th, Bottas ahead of Massa, and there's Kimi Raikkonen, Daniel Ricciardo, who's 10 clear of us. We're ahead of Daniel Kvyat. Perez is 10th. Alonso slipped down to 11th after another pointless weekend. Maldonado was 12th, with Hulkenberg, Grosjean, Nasser, Verstappen, Sainz and Ericsson all scoring. Will Stevens and Roberto Neri yet to get on the board. Whereas in the Constructors, Mercedes, of course, leading the way, but Ferrari are kind of keeping them honest, with Williams not too far behind either. Then there's a 100-point gap back to Red Bull, who are 4th and kind of on their own. We're 5th, with double the points of Force India. Lotus are down at 7th, and it's Sauber, Toro Rosso, and Mana Marussia with 0 at the back. And as I say, we're heading to Silverstone, a circuit that hasn't particularly treated us brilliantly. It's a circuit that, for some reason, in almost every Codemasters game, has just had OP AI. They are so fast around Silverstone, regardless, and the closest we've even got to the points was 14th last year in the Caterham. This is one of the few circuits, along with, Monza, Japan, and Brazil, that we have never ever scored a point at, that we can score a point at going forward. Hungary as well. Because we never scored points in Korea, but obviously that's no longer on the calendar, so we'll never ever get those points. But this is one of those circuits that is just primed for AI to absolutely obliterate you, and I don't understand why. Silverstone has always been super quick. But maybe this year, in 2015, with a car that seems to be able to compete at the lower end of the top 10, despite the fact it shouldn't be, we might be able to get ourselves on the board for the first time at home. We should probably go and see just how quick the AI are going to be here, though. So, I'm going to go and do some practice. While I do, we'll talk about the real world 2015 British Grand Prix. The British Grand Prix at Silverstone was the 9th round of the season, and it would see the 900th race contested by at least one Ferrari-engined car. Talking of Ferrari, they brought a revised wheel-nut system after issues in Austria, while Force India brought a B-spec car, and Mana amended their livery after acquiring a new sponsor. First practice session saw a few drivers hitting issues, both McLarens being restricted to their garages, while Hamilton spun off at Stowe, and Rosberg had hydraulic issues. It wouldn't stop the silver cars topping the times, Rosberg ahead of Hamilton, with Verstappen slotting into 3rd, albeit 1.2 seconds off the pace. Red flags were the order of the day in the second practice session, Grosjean and Mary spinning off at Luffield and causing red flags, while Alonso also found himself in the same gravel trap, but was able to make his way back on track. Rosberg would once again top the times ahead of Hamilton and Vettel. The final practice session would see issues once again for Rosberg, an oil leak keeping him in the garage for an hour and restricting him to a late quali simulation. Hamilton would top the times ahead of Rosberg, with Raikkonen following in behind. The drivers have been warned about lap times being deleted for running wide at Copse during qualifying, and many fell foul of it, needing extra runs to make it through Q1. It'd be Manor, McLaren and Felipe Nasr dropping out. There'd be no shocks in Q2 either, with many still falling foul at Copse, Perez being one who had a faster lap time deleted to see him eliminated alongside Grosjean, Maldonado, Verstappen and Ericsson. The usual story began to develop at the front, Hamilton laying down a marker quick enough to take pole on his first run ahead of Rosberg. Much like 2014, Hamilton found he wasn't making further gains on his second lap, backing off. Unlike 2014 though, Rosberg couldn't capitalise and would line up second, while Massa and Bottas took an all-Williams second row. Raikkonen, Vettel, Kvyat, Sainz, Hulkenberg and Ricciardo, who had a lap deleted, would complete the top 10. Usually, it wouldn't be Mercedes leading into turn 1 as the Williams cars on row 2 got a better start, Massa getting a rocket launch and taking the lead, while Bottas briefly found himself second before leaving the door open for Hamilton to move back through. Massa would have any hope to try and run away dashed though, as 5 cars, including both Lotus cars, were eliminated, leading to a safety car for the clean-up. When the race restarted, Massa, who hadn't taken a restart for several years, was under pressure from Hamilton. The championship leader attempted a move at club but cut the corner, giving Bottas back second place as he had to contend with Rosberg behind.
That's given you a strong time. Nice lap.
Bottas got within DRS range of Massa, the team initially telling him to hold behind his teammate before changing their minds, though it was too late for Valtteri to make a move. The Grove team now ruining their chance to get further away from their Brackley-based rivals. Hamilton would be first to pit after closing on the Williams cars ahead. Massa would be followed in a lap later by Rosberg. The Brazilian stopped being slightly slower as debris was removed from his front wing. The pair emerged side by side, Massa edging in front, but Hamilton was already gone. Bottas was in a lap later and we re-emerged between Massa and Rosberg. Bad news for Mercedes. The clouds were beginning to circle Silverstone, with drivers being informed of incoming rain just as Sainz's Toro Rosso stopped at club, generating a virtual safety car. Raikkonen would report rain on lap 35, and drivers began getting crossed up by lap 38, Vettel, Rosberg and Hamilton all making mistakes on the greasy surface. Raikkonen would head in for intermediates, which proved to be a costly change as the track began to dry once again, destroying his tyres. Hamilton was also struggling on his tyres, while Rosberg and the other Mercedes shot past both Williams and was eating into the gap to Hamilton rapidly. Hamilton, though, wouldn't be denied, seeing the clouds gathering once again, and he made for the pits at exactly the right time. Vettel also did the same, catapulting him up the order after a poor race up to that point. Hamilton would take the win ahead of Rosberg, while Vettel would end up on the podium. Massa and Bottas would hold off a fast-closing Kvyat, while Hulkenberg, Raikkonen and Perez would follow. Alonso would finish 10th and claim his first point of the season on his return to McLaren. How are we looking coming into our home race? Austria ended badly after looking like another positive weekend, and we're heading into a track that this day Cody's AI are rapid at. I'd love to say we're going to find some speed this season with a stronger car than we've had for a while, but I'm not so sure. In fact, I'd go as far as saying we're going to struggle to get out of Q2.
It's a late apex and be absolutely careful to minimise wheel spin on the exit, as it's then a long run through Aintree and down the Wellington Straight.
All that means eventually we're going to aim for P12, but we got to hope for a little more, see if we can perform at home at Silverstone for the first time in this series.
Welcome to this afternoon's qualifying session here at Silverstone for the British Grand Prix. It's going to be an exciting afternoon as the teams battle it out for the prize of pole. Silverstone is steeped in racing history, and we can definitely say that every track position will be hotly contested in the next few minutes.
Over the last few years, there's been a range of winners from Mercedes, Red Bull and Ferrari, and I think those are the teams we need to look out for again in today's qualifying session.
Okay, you should be able to get into the next qualifying session easily, so try to get a hot lap in early so we can save the tyres.
Jeff there with the confidence of a man who knows that this McLaren should be able to get out of Q1, but has proven already this season that it isn't always the case. But beautiful sunny skies here at Silverstone. Showers possibly forecast, so we might have to get out quickly. The one thing I always forget about Silverstone, or at least the British Grand Prix and Jenson Button, is that Jenson, even in that brawn that he had in 2009, and even the fast Hondas he had in 2006, never scored a podium here. I don't think we're going to be making that change in this race, but let's get out there in qualifying, see what we can do, and see how likely it is that we can pick up a point. Let's then take a look at our fastest lap in Q1. Decent marker to run through, and as we head into turn 1, we managed to keep it pretty much flat. We have to lift off ever so slightly just to get the car within track limits. Into the village and the loop sections, quite tight, quite twisty, really difficult to get the line right there, but that's probably about as good as we're ever going to get it as we head out onto the Wellington Straight. Get the DRS open as we head down to the back end of the old back end of the circuit, the national bit, down towards Luffield and Brooklands and all of these incredibly famous corners. A little wide through that one there, but managed to swing it back in and keep the car within track limits, just avoiding the gravel. And as we go through Woodcut across the old start-finish line and down towards Copse. In a modern car, you can do this flat. In a 2015 car, you really have to back off, turn early and hope and still run wide, but it doesn't compromise us too badly as we're into Maggots, Beckett's and Club. Chapel, not Club, what am I on about? Into Chapel, eventually. And we managed to keep it well within track limits. Not so tight on the exit there. We're 0.2 of a second up as we get on to the Hanger Straight down towards Stowe. Easy to run wide here. Managed to get turned in nice and early. Maybe a couple of bites of the cherry. A touch wide, but still on the green apron and allowed that one into the final couple of corners. Very wide into the first one, which compromises our line through the penultimate corner of the lap. But we swing it through. And it's another little improvement.
A poor showing there from Fernando Alonso. The team were expecting a top 10 qualifying performance, but he's been knocked out in Q1.
Well, I did say while we were sat in the garage for Q1 that we have gone out in this session before. We don't. We're comfortably through in P6 ahead of the likes of Bottas and Vettel. Whereas down at the other end, Fernando Alonso knocked out only faster than the two man of Mauritius. He also drops out with Grosjean and Hulkenberg, a Lotus and a Force India down there. Some 3-4 seconds off the pace. Will Stevens on the back for his home Grand Prix, his first home Grand Prix. Ricciardo down in 13th as well, Kvyat 11th. So this could be quite the mixed up order. But we're into Q2, and that's always a good start for us. Let's see what we do in the next session. In the garage then for Q2, got a good lap in Q1, exactly the same time as Valtteri Bottas, but we, by virtue of doing it first, meant that we sat 6th by the end of that session. Not bad going whatsoever. Hopefully that shows that maybe we've got pace, and it would, I think, mark this game out as the outlier that it is if we can go ahead and qualify well and then race well as well. But everybody tends to ramp up in Q2, so let's get out there, get some laps on the board. Then in Q2, really wide as we start the lap, and we've got a car in front of us who's going to help us be pulled along. Another marker laid down after the first lap, which is a good one to aim for. Nicely through turn 1, a little lift just to settle the car through the little bump as we catch up to the back of Carlos Sainz, who's just in front of us as we head into Village and the loop. Again, decent line through there, like we did in Q1. Not looking too bad whatsoever. Faster than Mazda already as well as we hit the DRS behind Sainz. Probably getting a little bit of a drag as we get down to the end of the Wellington Straight, marginally up on our best time. 2 bites at the cherry here to get into that left-hander, which again compromises our line through this long right-hander. We have to swing the car out, and it takes a few stabs of the accelerator before we can get right on the power. Down towards the old start finish line and in towards Copse, really pushing the car as hard as possible. Probably lost sights at this point, which means that we're not really getting a tow, but much tidier through Copse than we were in Q1. Into Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. Take a huge amount of curb through Maggots and then into Beckett's. Chapel, we keep really tight to the apex, and we manage to avoid running on the grass in or out of the corner. 0.3 of a second down at the second adapter. But again, just close enough to sights there, I think, to get a little bit of a tow down the hanger straight into Stowe. One opportunity to turn that one in, still running wide, much like Q1, but not too bad whatsoever. And into Club and Vale. Final couple of corners on the circuit, right up behind Carlos Sainz now. Try to keep the power down, stay well away from the outside. That's another little improvement. Will it see us through?
Qualifying 2 has now concluded, and it leaves us with the top 10 drivers to decide just who will be on pole for tomorrow's race.
And we make it through Q2 by the skin of our teeth in the end. Couldn't really hook up a lap in that session, but we did manage to make it through. Carlos Sainz, Marcus Ericsson, Felipe Nasr, Pastor Maldonado and Sergio Perez knocked out. It is all murk at the top. I don't know if we'll make it much further up the grid. As I said at the top of Q2, the AI tend to ramp up a little bit Q2 onwards, and Max Verstappen's the only person we've managed to outpace, and you can see how far we're off Kimi Räikkönen. So 9th might be the best we can do. But let's cross to Q3, see how we get on. Into the final part of qualifying then, once again this season. Really has been a good run of form. This car seems to be alright in qualifying, and I sort of lack pace a bit more in the races. But maybe, just maybe, we can use this as a springboard in race trim. I don't think we're going to be starting much higher than 9th, unless we can pull a big lap out the bag. So why don't we get out on track, see what we can do. The rarest Q3 appearance in Silverstone to start our fastest lap. Took a few laps to really get into the groove of it in the final session, knowing that we were really only battling Verstappen. Nicely through turn 1 now, and heading towards Village and the loop. On the brakes, the car tried to shuffle away from us, so it compromised our line through there, which also then compromised our line through the loop. Really scruffy through there compared to the first couple of qualifying sessions, but onto the Wellington Straight and heading down towards the old pit buildings and the old start-finish straight. 10th of a second exactly, don't know our best time, but into this left-hander, tidier than we've been in pretty much every qualifying session so far, which means that we get a really ideal line through that corner on to the right there. We run as close as we can to that line. The timer is ticking down as we head towards Copse, keeping it as straight as possible, lifting off and keeping it well within track limits, riding the curb a little bit, keeps the speed up though, at least into Maggots and then into Beckett's, and then down towards Chapel. Really neat and tidy through here for the first time, I think, in the session completely through all of qualifying. Out of Chapel, marginally up on our best time, down the hanger straight towards Stowe, really pushing as hard as we can here to really get a good lap on the board, but we know we're not really likely to be going much further up the grid. Really wide through Stowe into Club and Vale in the final couple of corners. Miss the apex on the inside, compromises our line a little bit. We then push very hard, running wide through the penultimate corner and over the sausage curb. A minor improvement, but not much further up the grid.
What a session it's been for Mercedes today. They've locked the front row of the grid for tomorrow's race.
It's been a great session for the team. They've really been pushing hard to make this happen, and their hard work has been rewarded.
And the session ends with us just sneaking P9 away from Max Verstappen, whereas at the top end of things, Mercedes locking out the front row. That's going to be a titanic battle. They're followed up by the 2 Ferraris, the 2 Williams and the 2 Red Bulls as everybody goes in 2 by 2 ahead of us. It wasn't too bad in terms of pace. I thought we'd be a bit further off, but just couldn't draw myself up to the back of the Red Bulls. Possibly could have taken a higher spot, I think, if we'd hooked up a really good lap. But not to be. But P9, means that we could give ourselves a springboard for points for the first time at Silverstone in this entire series. Let's cross to the race, see how that plays out.
Hello and welcome to the British Grand Prix here at Silverstone. The grandstands are packed, the cars have made their way to the grid, and we're minutes away from lights out. Pole position can only be secured by one driver, and the lucky gentleman goes by the name of Nico Rosberg this weekend. You wouldn't bet against the German driver pressing his Mercedes to victory today.
There are a lot of variables that can cause a driver to be happy with the car one day to struggling with it the next. Track temperature, excessive tyre wear, or a change of fuel load can all affect the feel of a car. He'll definitely be hoping that when the race gets underway, he's got the same balance as he enjoyed in qualifying.
It's been a really disappointing season so far for Red Bull. They aren't getting the points that they believe the car is worthy of.
After such a successful run, things certainly aren't going so well now. However, facing a bit of adversity often brings out the best in a team of people that are used to winning. It will be interesting to see if Red Bull can respond.
On the grid then for the British Grand Prix 2015, P9 in the end, just next to Max Verstappen and just in behind the two Red Bulls. It wasn't too bad a qualifying in the end, considering as the general consensus is the AI are so overpowered and so quick at Silverstone. In all Codemasters F1 games, we've seen it quite a lot in the past. I think did we get lapped by everyone apart from our teammate back in 2010? At least twice, or at least once. So yeah, it's a tough circuit, this one, for fighting the AI. It would be nice to pick up a point or two here. As I said a couple of times in this episode, this is one of the few tracks left that I've never scored a point on in this series, and this might be the best chance that we get, even heading into the years where everybody's a little bit more closely matched. The aim then is going to be P10, just to see if we can snag 1 point from this race. We were on for a bit more in Austria before we tried to race the AI as you would normally, and then Daniel Ricciardo tipped us round. First lap's going to be interesting. The run into the village and the loop sections are going to be pretty chaotic, I feel, but that might be a spot where we can really try and take some places, move forward and give ourselves a little bit of a buffer back to those points. It's time to get those 5 red lights on and out again for the 2015 British Grand Prix.
Try for at least 6th in today's race.
Team wants 6th as the 5th red light is on, and away we go at Silverstone. Decent getaway. Carlos Sainz trying to pull alongside. Same with Max Verstappen. We're going to have to try and hold it around the outside there. Haven't lost, haven't gained. I'll take that for now, but now we'll start to try and make some moves at the inside of Kvyat. Can we do the same to Ricciardo, the man who punted us out of points last time? Not quite got the pace on him, but he has to run wide because we were on his inside, and we are past the 2 Red Bulls, so up into P7. Good solid first couple of corners. The top 6 already trying to launch away, all still 2 by 2. Mercedes, Ferrari, Williams, and then a McLaren being the rogue in the run, as I think Kvyat, well, looks it's having a battle with probably Max Verstappen, at least one of the 2 Toro Rossos. We head into Cops for the first time in this race. Ricciardo all over us already. He's going to go for a move. He runs wide. I go across because I knew that would end in tears. He runs straight off the road though. Just a bit of breathing room. Fuel running through Maggots and Beckett side by side. That's not what you want to do. And then the top 6 running away with things up ahead at the moment. Let's just try and settle into a rhythm. Come out of this a good result, although is that Hamilton falling backwards and 2 by 2 up ahead as we end the first lap. P7, couple of spots gained. It's all looking a bit close up here. Hamilton has been jumped by Vettel. Massa's jumped Raikkonen.
To get us through the whole race. Remember that we'll get lighter.
Raikkonen and Massa going side by side. A little bit of contact as well. Brings us right to the back of this crew. Rosberg's running away. Whatever happened to Hamilton caused a bit of a cascade as we run very wide. And invite Daniel Ricciardo to the party as well. Going to try and come in the outside at Copse. Just about give him enough room. And they're still going hammer and tongs up ahead. A point where they almost come to a complete stop through Maggots and Backets. Briefly able to sneak by Bottas, but it's all a bit messy. 2 laps full of action already. Close enough for DRS on Bottas down the Wellington straight. Ricciardo ran with us. Hamilton, I think, has got back past the Ferraris and is chasing off after his teammate. The Ferraris and the Williams, though, having a bit of a ding-dong battle as Ricciardo now is going to go to the inside at Copse. Going to have to cede that position, but you see how everybody slows up through there. And all of a sudden we're back with the group again. And trying to go side by side through Maggots and Backets. We tap the back of Ricciardo. We're going to have a crack at the Red Bull. We got to cross him. And once again, me and Ricciardo come to blows. And we've lost a lot of positions. Side back through the middle of the 2 Saubers. Late dive on Carlos Sainz to try and get back into the points. Or onto the edge of the points. Maldonado next, and we'll side up the inside. Ricardo, Kvyat, all the way around the outside of them. They're all holding each other up, and we're back into 7th. Reef Sojourn low down the order there. Vettel's the man in 6th. They really are having a good battle up ahead. Kvyat, though, DRS. Look how quick that Red Bull is. Can we outbrake him? I thought we had then, but he's just to hold us to the outside, and he's kept that position nicely. Ricardo once again is going to take a look to the inside at Copse.
There's 40 kilograms of fuel left in the tank.
Oh, and he's just going to shoulder charge us off the road. Then we get an illegal overtake for keeping our foot in it. Oh, and then we've been tapped.
The track is clear. Green flag.
Somebody clipped us. Not sure who it was. Probably one of the Toro Rossos. Messy first couple of laps here at Silverstone. Ricardo will try and block him to the inside. Doesn't work, but I was going to say he's so far inside that we've given him an almost impossible angle, but no. We then run wide, warm tyres at the moment. At the end of this lap, can't come soon enough. We're down to 9th. Maldonado to the inside at Copse. Not where we want. Past the Maldonado. Squeeze him out a bit though.
Caution,
Yellow flag.
No overtaking through the caution zone. Be careful until you see the greens.
Somebody was off the road. It was Valtteri Bottas. I think that's a slowish moving Ferrari.
You need to pit in this lap.
Got damage or not, I don't know. Freebie.
This rate will finish with a little extra fuel, so you have some in hand to run a faster engine mode for a bit.
We're going to head in. Vettel, I think, was the man that may have made contact with Bottas. He's the man heading in. Just in front of us. This pit lane is slow. One of the slowest pit entries on the calendar. As we roll in, we'll hold up Vettel just a touch.
Exit now.
Bottas goes back past. Into 18th. Looks like there's a car being lapped already.
We'll be doing one more stop today. One stop left in our strategy.
Verstappen, I think, was the man that got clipped us, because there he goes, P19. When all these guys come in, we'll be able to jump back in front of them. To the inside of Verstappen. We'll head onto the national start-finish straight. And through. He might have a touch of damage. It's just because we're on fresher rubber. A few cars in. Just one by the looks of it. That being Valtteri Bottas.
Receive one of their cars. Their crew are out in the pit lane.
17th then. Starting to see cars come in now. See what sort of gains we can make. Hoping fairly good ones. It was an early start, but everybody's running with each other at the moment.
Be aware your brakes are overheating. Softer on the brakes, or we might run into problems.
Couple of cars heading out. Ricardo, one of them, there he is. Past Ricardo, Kvyat though just in front of us. Roughly where we were in the order
Rosso gearing up for a pit stop. We're not sure which driver yet.
prior to our pit stop. Clutch of cars heading in. Looks like Vettel has gone past them. Alonso stayed out.
The driver is coming into the pit lane. He's entering the pit lane now.
Mary, Stevens, Sainz, a few others as well. We have the P9.
About a quarter of our starting fuel is now being used, so that's 3/4 remaining. 3/4. Kvyat's next. Just 5 seconds separate you.
Ricardo to the outside, down towards Stowe. Really struggling at the moment on tyres. There's a little bit of contact and we'll... Ricardo behind us. Alonso has a DRS problem and seems to have absolutely fallen back. Perez is in the pits.
2 laps until our pit window opens. We're going to put you on the prime tyre.
Back up into 8th spot. Really do need to try and run these tyres out to the scheduled pit stop. Run all the primes to work. Maybe we'll do here what we should have done in Austria and not battle Ricardo too hard. Sit on his inside there to give him a little spook. Nothing major. Lando is in, so we'll pick another spot back and go back into 8th place. 7th as well, somebody else in the pit. That's now big in our mirrors. Just where we're really struggling for front end grip, but we're pitting the end of this lap. Bottas not really our fight. Just whatever instant he had with Vettel has cost him. Williams much faster, there it goes. Oh, we get a little too late on the brakes, a little clip.
That's 8th. You've fallen into P8.
Drift, but we survive that one. Bottas will get away, as you'd expect him to, but we'll head into the end of this one. We come then. Bottas is in too. Perez keeps going. Sainz as well. Vettel's behind us. He was the one that must have pitted. Grosjean through as well. So we'll fall down again, but hopefully have enough to come back.
Release.
There we go again. Bowser will go through. Will Alonso go through? Alonso will go through. That might be helpful here.
Pit strategy complete.
Stevens might make it through as well here. He does. With Verstappen behind him. Quite able to do to Stevens what we did to Verstappen earlier in the race, but hopefully it won't be long before we're past the man of Marussia. Slower as he through cops though. Oh, he breaks into Maggots and Beckett. That's silly. We will get past him scruffily, but we will get by.
Good job.
Raikkonen leads. I'd assume Rosberg has come in. A few cars in actually. Through Stowe.
Okay, this is Jeff. I need you to stop
Get a telling off for corner cutting. I wouldn't necessarily say that's corner cutting. Verstappen does look to be struggling.
One of the Lotus drivers is about to pit. The crew are prepping for a
Maldonado.
stop.
A couple others as well into 14th. It's going to be long before we pass Verstappen. He is struggling. There we go. Bottas has passed Alonso.
Data shows the tyres are okay right now. We anticipate good levels of grip for the next few laps at least.
Yellow flag.
Green flag.
Gone again. I don't know whether somebody's gone behind us. Somebody's gone in front of us. Will Stevens is now behind us. Maybe Verstappen is out. Don't know. We'll find out in a moment. Appears to be following. Has gone though. Maybe Max has gone. Or he's made a mistake, one or the other. Grosjean's in the pits. Past the Lotus. Speed 12. Car in the pits, that was Carlos Sainz. So we're back into 11th. Means Alonso is now between us and the points.
Gearing up for a pit stop. Not sure which driver yet.
Alonso still yet to pit for a second time, so should be an easy gimme. Car's just come out of the pits. It's Sebastian Vettel. Little, not even really a tower. The HUD took a little bit of time to update there. I thought it was a back marker that Alonso had lapped. Apparently not. It's Sebastian Vettel. That is the weirdest way I've ever said that name. Vettel already passed Alonso, so no such luck for us. Fernando is in. Something has me worried. The multifunction display seems to suggest that we're going to have to pit in again.
Okay, options for your next stop. The window opens in 2 laps time. 2 laps.
Perez has left the pit box and is just in front of us. Bottas is in again. Vettel's been in a third time. Perez ahead of us is on the options. Maybe, just maybe, there's going to be a need to pit again. We're going to stay out here, I think. See if Grosjean and co behind us head in. If they head in, we'll go next lap and we should still jump them. Thing is, the likes of Bottas and Alonso are behind us, who may not need to pit again. John stays out.
The pit window has opened. Looks like Kvyat has just peeled off into the pits. Kvyat is in the pits.
Kvyat's come in. He's one of only 3 from the people in front to have pitted in again. I don't know if Vettel being the other 2, but Grosjean now is right on us.
Bulls are about to pit. Their crew are getting ready.
You'd have to hope that Grosjean heads in, or just have to try and hold him off on track. But look how much quicker he is. It's also not that far behind them. Back around the outside of the Lotus. It'll be a tricky final few laps to try and hold on to points here. To the outside. Stay to the inside at Stowe. Hold him off.
You're into P8. You've taken P8.
Sainz and Grosjean stay out. It's going to be all about, if they do get past us, have we got enough of a gap back to Kvyat to hold on to 10th?
Is now the race leader.
Raikkonen leads, which suggests that Rosberg has gone in again. Got now Grosjean and Sainz. They're going to go one side of both sides of me there. Into Stowe. It's hold on the inside. Spook Grosjean a bit. We'll get back past Sainz at least.
Great manoeuvre. You made it look easy.
We're all going to the end here at this point. In Romain Grosjean, he's got, I think, Roberto Merri in front of him, maybe. We'll get DRS off Grosjean, which hopefully will be enough to hold off Sainz, but that's Toro Rosso much quicker.
Try for the overtake.
Ring the outside of the Spaniard. Oh, that was close. There goes Sainz. Run wide, Kvyat not a million miles behind. Kvyat will be on us for the final lap of this Grand Prix.
Fuel. Our level is now at 10 kilograms. That's 10 kilograms of fuel remaining.
Get on to the final lap of this race. We are clinging on to a point for dear life there.
We've been awarded
And there it goes.
We'll go against our finishing time at the end of the race.
Right at the death, we run wide. We get a 5-second penalty. We've
Is running on full revs.
been fighting hard here. But we're going to finish outside of the points at Silverstone once again. It'll be on track as well anyway. Kvyat goes through. What a terrible way to end. Raikkonen takes the victory for the Ferraris though. Rosberg chasing him down, I guess, but we are going to come home outside the points in Britain once again. Tyres just fell apart here. Get a 5-second time penalty to boot. Unless, of course, these three decide they want to throw each other off the road. which F1 2015 AI might happen. They're going almost 3 wide up towards Stowe. We fought well today, I feel. But once again, they're going to come home empty-handed at Silverstone. E11. Disappointing in the end.
A very memorable race, and one that Kimi Räikkönen won't forget anytime soon, after a wonderful win for the Ferrari driver today.
It really was a wonderful performance, and one that the team will be celebrating for some time to come.
That's it for today's Grand Prix, and from Ant and I, it's goodbye, and see you again next time.
Well, Kimi Räikkönen takes the victory ahead of Nico Rosberg. Felipe Massa takes third ahead of Hamilton. Those 3 stoppers at the end really throwing themselves under the bus. Vettel comes home 5th ahead of Ricciardo, then Perez. Sainz takes 8th ahead of Grosjean, and then Kvyat takes 10th. We finish 11th. We would have finished 11th even if we hadn't had that penalty, because we just had no tyres at the end. We come home ahead of Fernando Alonso, Felipe Nasr, Maldonado, Ericsson. Stevens up in 16th ahead of Verstappen. Nico Hülkenberg didn't retire. He finished 18th, and it's Roberto Merri. Valtteri Bottas was the man that didn't finish that race. And what does that do to the championship stand-ins? Well, Nico Rosberg leads the way by a full race win over Vettel. Hamilton 2 points further behind the Ferrari. Then it's Räikkönen in 4th ahead of Massa. Valtteri Bottas slips down to 6th. Ricciardo is 7th. We remain 8th. Still 7 clear of Daniel Kvyat at least. Perez is 10th. Grosjean moves up to 11th. Jump in Fernando, who slips to 12th. Maldonado and Hülkenberg also fall back. Carlos Sainz jumps Felipe Nasr, who slips to 16th. Verstappen down in 17th ahead of Marcus Ericsson. And it's Stevens and Merri still yet to score. And in the constructors, Mercedes lead Ferrari by 43 points. Williams are in 3rd. Red Bull way off top, way off Williams. They're in 4th. We remain 33 points behind them in 5th. Force India remains 6th ahead of Lotus. Toro Rosso, though, jump Sauber. Now 3 clear of the Swiss outfit, while Mana Marussia remain last of everybody. And that galling way to end that one. I thought we were going to hold out, and we lacked pace and lacked tyres right at the death there. And for another season, we go pointless in Northamptonshire. That's 2 races on the bounce this season where we have finished outside of the points, which I think is the first time this season we finished outside the points in Malaysia, and we finished outside the points in Bahrain, but I'm pretty sure they were intersected by China. So yeah, qualifying may be great, only outside of the top 10 twice, Malaysia and Bahrain, but race-wise, that's 4 times this season we've come away with no points. Austria kind of our own fault. Britain sort of our own fault in the end. And then Malaysia and Bahrain didn't go well either. But that is 9 rounds down, 10 to go. And next up is another circuit that we have terrible form at. In fact, a circuit we've DNF'd at twice. The Hungaroring is next. Not a circuit I'm particularly strong at, and not a circuit I particularly enjoy driving, but maybe this McLaren Honda is somehow going to be the saviour. But that's all to come next time. Thank you so much for watching this one. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Do all the good stuff, you know the drill by now. Shall see you in Budapest for the next one. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.